Hello. Halloween's coming soon, so hey, why not? Welcome to the video. So yeah, welcome back to the tailgate. I'm dressed up for the occasion. It's Halloween, so hey, why not? I'm sorry I didn't do a prediction video. I thought this week was going to be pretty boring and also had some homework. The boring part ended up being true. There were not a lot of good games at all. But I still got enough to talk about the winners and losers. The only difference with these videos is that with the playoff polls coming around soon, I'm no longer going to do a poll comparison for these videos. I'm going to save that for another video when those polls come out. I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday, but if it's Thursday, then I'll do them on Thursday. That's the only change. So today we got our 5 winners and losers like always, and then a Heisman look. So these videos are gonna be a little shorter, but I hope it's the same level of quality. The first winner we have is Oregon as they took down Utah 35-6. I thought this was gonna be a close game. I did not expect this. Looks like no Cam Rising really hurt, and Oregon is proving just how good they really are. I mean, if they get a chance against Washington again in the Pac-12 title game, that's a very winnable game for Oregon at this point. Bo Nix again playing like a Heisman. The whole offense played good, and then their defense of course played amazing. They shut down Bryson Barnes, who played really good last week, but this week just didn't exist. It's an amazing win for Oregon as they keep their playoff hopes alive, and then they went into Utah's playoff hopes. Again, I didn't watch this game. I did have to work, so I missed a good bit of these first games, but looking at it, it doesn't look like I missed much. I mean, I just don't really know what to say. Oregon is easily my 5th biggest winner. There was a lot of upsets this week, so it's really hard to narrow these down, but I think since there was a ranked matchup and they were ranked higher, I think that makes them the worst of the winners, but they're still a big winner, so not much I can really hate on them for. The next big winner for me is Georgia Tech as they took down North Carolina 46-42. Georgia Tech looked really impressive. They had a 14-point comeback and an 11-point comeback, both in the same game. It was pretty crazy. Haynes King played insane. He had 4 touchdowns. It was really efficient. He only had that 1 pick. Donta Smith, 178 yards and a touchdown. Eric Singleton had 117 yards and no touchdowns. But then they had Malik Rutherford with 2 touchdowns and Brett Sether with also 2 touchdowns. Georgia Tech has been a pretty upset-heavy team. They took down Miami on a absolutely masterful choke job, and then they beat North Carolina on a pretty good choke job. Like I said again, Georgia Tech had a 14 and 11-point comeback in the same game. They knocked out North Carolina out of the playoffs. The very slim chances they were to make the playoffs are gone now. And with Georgia Tech getting these big wins, bowl eligibility looks very possible. It's just about can they get 2 wins before they play Georgia, because they're probably not going to upset Georgia. It's still an amazing win for Georgia Tech as they keep their bowl eligibility hopes alive. The next big winner for me is Louisville as they shut out Duke 23-20 in a ranked matchup. This was a battle of the 2 best defenses in the ACC. Possibly the top 2, maybe Florida State. I say Florida State's probably the best, but these 2 are definitely 2 and 3. So I thought it was gonna be a pretty exciting game, but it was not. Louisville's defense is better, I guess that kind of proved it. Again, Duke was playing with Riley Leonard, only probably at about 50%, definitely not at 100%. But I don't think even at 100% it wouldn't have mattered. Louisville dominated from start to finish. And the big thing that helped them was they had a monster game from Jawar Jordan as he had 163 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. That was a big reason. They just couldn't stop him. He had those 2 touchdowns early on to get Louisville up 14-0, and that set the whole tone for the game. Louisville keeps their playoff hopes alive as they are 2nd in the ACC. Let me see if they play Florida State real quick. No, they do not. They do not play Florida State. So if they finish 11-1 and match up with Florida State in the title game, that'll be something. As with this win, Louisville again keeps a very slim but possible playoff hope alive, and just an impressive win, shutting out a ranked team. And I mean, Duke's in a tough spot now, as I don't think they have a shot to win to make or win the ACC. But again, mainly talking about Louisville here, great win for them as they are my 3rd biggest winner. The 4th biggest winner for me is Arizona as they took down Oregon State 27-24. Arizona State's been a very impressive team this year. When you look at their schedule, all their losses are by one possession. So if the ball went their way a couple times, they really could be 7-1 or even 8-0 right now. It's really impressive, especially when you look at their last 4 weeks where they almost beat Washington, almost beat USC, and then they blew out a ranked Washington State, and then they just beat Oregon State in their playoff hopes. Noah Fafita has been insane for Arizona State. He looks like the best freshman in the country, unless it's someone I'm forgetting. But from what I remember, he looks like the best freshman easily. He had 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, very efficient game. He was the big reason Arizona won that game. They had some solid work from all the receivers, of course, to win that game, and their defense kept Oregon State's really good rushing attack in check, as their leading rusher, Martinez, only had 87 rushing yards, and then no one else cracked 20. So it's a really good win for Arizona State, and just an overall great win. Their defense played good, their offense played good. Arizona State's been a very scary team. I definitely think they're way better than their 5-3 record shows. And like I explained with their 4-week stretch, that kind of proves it in my opinion. But they're not my biggest winner. The biggest winner for me this week is Kansas as they upset number 6 Oklahoma 38-33. This is an amazing win for Kansas. With no Jalen Daniels, you would think they have no shot at winning, but they did it, and Kansas accordingly rushed the field and threw the goalposts into the pond in Kansas. Amazing win. Their offense played really good. Jason Bean didn't play great in the air, but he was good on the ground. He had that big 38-yard touchdown. And overall, the big thing for Kansas was their rushing attack. They had 225 yards from 3 players, the lead one being Devin Neal, who had 112 yards and a touchdown. Receiving was pretty balanced, but again, with Jason Bean just not playing that great through the air, and he really isn't a standout on the receiving core. It's just a really impressive win for Kansas, and especially beating Oklahoma, that looked like almost a shoe-in playoff team at this point. It's a very impressive win for Kansas, and I can only imagine how good Kansas would really be right now if they had Jalen Daniels. They probably could be 7-1 right now. But with that, Kansas is my biggest winner, and that wraps up the 5 biggest winners. We got a good bit of losers here, and for me, the first loser is Cal, as they lost to USC 50-49. The reason they're the loser for me is because they blew a 14-point lead in the 4th quarter, and with just that loss and all that, it keeps USC in the Pac-12 title hopes. It's just a bad loss. Cal had USC's number the whole game up until the 4th quarter. They were up 43-29. They were playing really good, mainly led by Jaden Ott, who had 153 yards and 3 touchdowns. Cal had no reason to lose that game. I know that USC has Caleb Williams and they're still super talented, but still, you're up by that many points in the 4th quarter. You should have it, especially with how well your offense is playing. And then they had a chance to win the game, but then they missed a 2-point conversion, and just with all that, they handed USC the win. So just for that, they're the big loser. They're the 5th biggest loser, not the biggest. My bad. The next big loser for me is Utah, as they got blown out by Oregon 35-6. I talked about this game from Oregon's side, now from Utah's side. Looks like no Cam Rising really came to bite them this time. I know Oregon's defense is pretty solid, but Utah just did nothing. There was no rushing attack. Bryson Barnes played awful, especially when you're at home. You definitely need to put more of a fight than that, in my opinion. Again, I know you don't have Cam Rising, which is why I'm cutting them a little slack and putting them at 4th. If they had Cam Rising, they lost by this much still, they'd probably be my biggest loser. But I'm cutting them a little bit of slack here. But they're still a big loser, because when you're at home, you've been looking really good even without Cam Rising. And Bryson Barnes has been playing really good too. Just a complete collapse like this on all sides of the ball. Your defense playing good. I don't know if maybe they just got tired or whatever, but judging that Oregon scored 21 points pretty early on in the game, I'm assuming that's not the case. But just with everything and how bad Utah plays, especially with how good they've been looking recently, that makes them the 4th biggest loser for me. The 3rd big loser for me is Duke, as they got shut out by Louisville 23-0. Looking at Duke, their defense just didn't play that good early on, and their offense just got beat up by Louisville, so they couldn't do anything. Kind of similar to Oregon State in their game. Louisville just obliterated Duke's rushing attack. Their leading rusher, Jordan Waters, only had 23 yards and went. Duke is one of the better rushing teams in the country. That's pretty bad. This game is pretty similar to the Utah game. Riley Leonard was playing, but there's no way he's playing at 100%, or maybe even like 80%. I imagine that ankle sprain is probably still killing him. And just with that and their defense playing probably the worst game of the season in my opinion, it just doesn't look that good for Duke. Louisville destroyed them, and that's really all I can say, as Duke is, to me, the third biggest loser. The fourth big loser for me is North Carolina, as they lost to Georgia Tech 46-42. I talked about how Georgia Tech had a 14 and 11 point comeback in the same game and won, and that's why North Carolina is the biggest loser, one of the biggest losers. They blew a 14 and an 11 point lead to a middle tier Georgia Tech team. This loss is really bad too, as North Carolina's playoff hopes are over. Their chances of going to the SEC championship game are over because they don't play Louisville, and if Louisville keeps winning, especially with how easy Louisville's schedule is, it doesn't help them out. North Carolina, if they want to get back to the title game, they need some luck. They need Georgia Tech to lose, which I think they play Georgia Tech, but I don't know. And then they also need Louisville to lose 2 games. So that's probably not going to happen. And just with how bad of a choke job it was for North Carolina, they are my second biggest loser, but not my biggest loser. For me, the biggest loser is Oklahoma, as they lost to Kansas 38-33. This loss is really bad for Oklahoma, as they lost to a Kansas team without Jalen Daniels. And even with Jason Bean playing bad, Oklahoma still lost. It's just really bad for Oklahoma. You're looking amazing. You're 7-0. You look like a shoe-in playoff team, and then you lose to Kansas. It's really bad. And what makes it really bad for Oklahoma is now with that loss, the Big 12 is now in a 5-way tie, as Oklahoma, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Texas, and K-State are all 4-1 in conference play. So now you got a really weird mashup of teams all fighting for that first place spot and fighting for a Big 12 championship spot. With them being 7-1, it makes it way more difficult for them to get to the playoffs too, and it's just really bad. They really had no reason to lose to Kansas. With no Jalen Daniels, like I said, they shouldn't have lost. And I really thought they were gonna win, because after Kansas got up 14-0, Oklahoma made it 21-14, and I thought Oklahoma came back, their offense is clicking, no way they lose. But it just looks really bad. Dylan Gabriel didn't play that great. I don't know if he got injured, because he only had 19 pass attempts. Let me see real quick. No, he played the whole game and only had 19 passes. I don't know what is up with that. I guess because Tywee Walker played really good, that helps out. And then Gabriel did do really good in the rushing attack, so maybe that's excusable, but still. They shouldn't have lost to Kansas, and with them being ranked so high and losing like that, they are my biggest loser. And to wrap up this video, as I remember I said I'm doing the poll comparison when the playoff polls come out, it's time for who I think is in discussion for the Heisman after this week. Michael Penix played good against Stanford, so I still think he is number 1. And then Jay Daniels is at number 2. That's practically how it's going to be. Jay Daniels does play Bama though, so that will decide for me who's number 1, number 2. I think if Jay Daniels wins, he's number 1, and if he loses, then I think it's a shoe-in for Penix. However, Bo Nix is climbing up really fast, especially after that win against Utah. I think he's right there behind Jay Daniels. Again, Jay Daniels can really only create separation if he wins. And actually, I'll say if he loses and he plays a bad game, or I think if they just lose outright, then I think Bo Nix climbs up to 2, maybe even 1 if he keeps playing really good. So I think those are your top 3, and then you have a bunch of guys behind them. Dylan Gabriel is still there. Jordan Travis is still there. Drake May is still there, but barely, especially with North Carolina losing that bad. It makes it very difficult. And I really just think with the season going on, that list kind of narrows out more. So I really think there's only 6 legitimate contenders right now for the Heisman, and those are the 6. And that wraps up the recap video. I know, a lot faster than normal. while the recap is done, I still want to share some stuff. Y'all know, go see my videos, how much I like these records. Actually, I'm gonna take this banana off for a second. But y'all know I like to collect records and all that. So I want to show you some of the ones I got because I actually got a bunch recently. I got Mountain Music by Alabama. I hear Bama's really good. I haven't really listened to him in full, but I hear a lot of people like him, so hey, really can't complain. I got a really early Eric Clapton greatest hits, greatest guitarist of all time possibly. Probably Queen or Hendrix, I'd probably put up there, but Jimi Hendrix is definitely up there. I got a George Strait album. My brother likes him a lot, so imagine that can't be bad. JT by James Taylor. I love James Taylor, so I'm excited to have that one in my collection. I got Kenny Roger, The Gambler. I've never listened to Kenny Roger, but I know my dad and my brother like him, so hey, it's worth a shot, right? The Untitled Led Zeppelin album, otherwise known as Led Zeppelin 4. This is the album that has Stairway to Heaven, and that's the primary reason people remember it. I got The Game by Queen. This is the one that has Another One Bites the Dust, Play the Game. Just a good record all around, considered one of Queen's best. And the one I really love is The Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd. This is a first year pressing, and I still has the poster and everything. I'm just happy to get my hands on a first pressing of this album. I want to get the other ones. From Pink Floyd that are first pressings, but hey, I can always love getting the one like this. And there's a really good poster. There's David Gilmour, Roger Waters. I can't remember the band names entirely. I'm pretty sure it's Ricky Waters, and then there's Nick Mason. If there's any Pink Floyd fans watching this video and I get their names wrong, I'm sorry. I have trouble remembering some band names, but hey, I love that I got all this, and I just love showing y'all the records that I got because I just like showing y'all. But yeah, that's the whole video. So I hope y'all enjoyed the recap video. Again, I will be doing a poll comparison on Tuesday or Thursday. I'm pretty sure the polls come out on Tuesday, so that's what I'm looking at, but hey, we'll see. But yeah, like, favorite, subscribe if you had, and yeah, the Banana Man, he'll see y'all when he posts the video. Again, I don't know, but hey, we shall see.